Hillary Clinton would be a national security disaster. Think about it. She wants to continue down the path of Iran, Benghazi, the Russian reset, Dodd-Frank, all the things that have gone wrong in this country. If she gets elected, she's under investigation with the FBI right now. If she gets elected, her first 100 days, instead of setting an agenda, she might be going back and forth between the White House and the courthouse. We need to stop that.
Jeb Bush with a pretty good one-liner about Hillary Clinton during last night's Republican debate. There's still a question about Jeb. Started with such great expectations and a pretty good one-liner last night, but the poll numbers are just not there. So is it too late for the former Florida governor to make a splash in this race? Let's bring in our panel to talk about it. First, Skyping in from Washington, D.C., Republican strategist and a former senior staff advisor to President George W. Bush, Brad Blakeman. And Skyping in from Florida, the former co-chairman of the Jeb Bush for Governor campaign, Ed Pozzuoli. Ed's now the president of the Tripp Scott law firm. So, Ed, first to you. Is Jeb able to make a case for being the nominee? Is there time left?
I think so, and I thought his debate performance went beyond that one line. That was a great one-liner, but I think he had some really good moments last night. Now, whether or not he can break through, we're going to see in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. And, J.D., let me remind you, he did pick up what is a key endorsement, at least in South Carolina, of Senator Lindsey Graham.
Well, and I appreciate that, and Lindsey and I served together, and forgive me, I don't mean to be uncharitable, but some view the endorsement by Senator Graham akin to handing an anvil to a guy in a raft that's got a leak. Brad, does the Lindsey Graham endorsement really help Jeb in the Palmetto State?
It may be too little too late, but again, the sand is going through Jeb's hourglass pretty quickly, and we're going to know in just a few weeks in Iowa, New Hampshire, whether or not he's going to have the ability to continue past even South Carolina to take some kind of benefit from that endorsement. But, you know, we have a wide field. Every candidate is just as different as the other in personality and performance. And I'm kind of proud that we're having this. I thought the debate that Fox produced last night was probably one of the finest I had seen. It was substantive, it was quick moving, it was topical, it had some great moments. So I think our party is doing exactly what is intended, and that is, you know, put their feet to the fire and we'll get the best possible nominee.
All right, Ed, we chronicled the fact that you worked with Jeb in his run for governor of Florida. Time to give some very public advice to your old friend. Prioritize what you think Jeb Bush needs to be doing.
Hey, he can't change who he is. Jeb Bush has a record in Florida. He's got to run that record. His executive experience is one. He's got the temperament and the depth of knowledge. JD, I'll give you an example. When Donald Trump raised the whole New York Times article about tariffs from China and on Chinese goods, Jeb Bush was the only one who thought 5 steps ahead, as a president should do, and say, look, before we do that, 45% tariffs, you know, we really need to understand that the U.S. consumer is the one who's going to pay for that, and it's going to potentially start a trade war. Is that what we want? I would want a president who is going to think several steps ahead on the chessboard, and I think that's really important. Jeb Bush needs to continue to be who he is. If the voters accept him and he rallies, that's great. And if not, at least he'll be true to himself.
Well, that's true to the discussion. Let's go to the other side of the aisle. Hillary Clinton on MSNBC's Morning Joe today, continuing her attacks on Bernie Sanders. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
But, you know, with all due respect to Senator Sanders, who I really do value for his intensity and his passion and advocacy, basically what he's doing is saying, hey, we need to start all over again. Let's tear it up and replace it. Details to be forthcoming.
So, Brad Blakeman, there is Hillary trying to offer a distinction over Obamacare with Mr. Single Payer, Bernie Sanders. Is this going to be successful in putting some daylight between Hillary, helping her widen the margin?
Isn't this wild? As a Republican, I love it. We have Democrats fighting over Obamacare. It's fantastic, and it exposes them for what they are. the liberal base of the Democratic Party wants a single-payer system, cradle to grave. This is it. And Hillary Clinton is putting a little distance from herself from Bernie, but how long will that last? There's got to be a contrast between her and Bernie, and she can't throw Obama under the bus. Obama may be her savior. She's going to need a pardon from him.
Yeah, that's the whole legal question that Jeb Bush referenced earlier. And again, it's a perfect entree for the lawyer in the discussion, Ed Pozzuoli. Some evidence, maybe People's Exhibit A from Section A of the Washington Post today. Clinton's numbers are dropping faster in the polls this year than they did in 2008. Does this mean she's done?
Now, JD, she might have real problems in a real courtroom. I mean, over this email issue. But let's talk about the court of public opinion. No one trusts her, not even the Democratic base. And now she's trying to get to the left of Bernie Sanders, which in my view is almost impossible. I got to tell you, I agree with the two other points that were made. The great debate last night. I'm proud to be a Republican with that group of people up there. And in comparison to having Hillary and Bernie Sanders on the other side, how much further a difference can you see there? Boy, wow.
And that wow comment is where we will have to leave things. Ed Pozzuoli in Florida, Brad Blakeman in Washington, D.C. We thank you, gentlemen, very much. Now, a very special programming note. Here at Newsmax TV, we will broadcast a very special program this coming Monday morning from 10:30 Eastern Time till 12 noon. The event, a convocation at Liberty University. Donald Trump will be the special guest. He'll speak for about an hour, and we will have it for you here live Monday morning on Newsmax TV.